All right, Adam, let's move on to the review for Ghost of Tsushima. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Adam and I are not influential enough or rich enough to get you guys reviews ahead of time. So, we review games as we can, when we can, on our own dime and on our own time. That makes them untimely reviews. This edition of Untimely Reviews, I've got a review for Ghost of Ikishima. This is the DLC for the Ghost of Tsushima game that released back in 2019. I am playing the director's cut. And yeah, the way I'm going to approach this is I'm not going to give too much in terms of spoilers, either for Ghost of Tsushima or for Ghost of Ikishima. Just for clarification on where I'm coming from, I really liked Ghost of Tsushima. It was probably my game of the year when it came out. So let's kind of go with that mindset as we go into the reviews. So I was very excited for Ghost of Ikishima. I've been looking forward to it, and I bought it pretty much as soon as I could. And how I'm going to say this, and this is going to be both a good and bad, Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Ikishima is just more Ghost of Tsushima, for the good and the bad. What that means. So for the good, this game is gorgeous. This is probably the best looking game I have seen on the PS5. Just like the original game, it has a very unique art style that blends sort of realistic and sort of watercolor kind of style painting, and it works so well in this system. I had a blast just sitting there watching the screen. I don't think I ever fast traveled in this game just because I want to watch the scenery go by. The second positive I mean by it's more of Ghost of Tsushima is the gameplay. This is the exact same gameplay that you saw in the original game. You're doing ghost activities, doing samurai activities. The sword fighting is awesome. It's a lot of the same puzzles, a lot of the same shrines, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to just have more of that. That being said, I feel like there are some decisions that were made in the development of this game that had negative impacts to this DLC. So if I recall, I beat the game and I platinumed it when it came out. So I'm playing this as someone who has completed the game. I believe in the director's cut, this opens up somewhere in around Act 2, either the beginning or the ending. And I feel like that was a poor choice. Seeing as this DLC came out a year after this game was released, a lot of players are coming into this having already beaten and probably platinuming Ghost of Tsushima. And so the choices that they make sort of impact this, and that because it's available halfway through the game, you're sort of splitting between two different player bases. And I think the problem with that is that there's not a lot of additions to the skill tree that justify, that make it exciting for new player or for existing players coming in. So there's one new branch of attack, and that's regarding your horse. And I felt having come in, I could pretty much almost max out the skill tree again just by the skill points and technical points that I acquired through my playthrough of the original game. Because your data does transfer over. And so by having it halfway through the game, they can't really add a whole bunch of skills because then it would break the original game. But at the same time, there's not enough new for players who've been playing it for a while. And so I just kind of got through that there wasn't really much that changes or makes it new or fresh. It kind of is just more of Ghost of Tsushima. And for its part, it doesn't linger too long that it feels boring, but I just kind of wish there was more new stuff in there. I was kind of hoping for something bigger and a little bit more exciting. And there's really not. It's just more Ghost of Tsushima in that sense. The other part that I think is a detriment to this is this story. The story's not grossly captivating, and I felt it doesn't really quite fit well. Just because of the narrative, they're talking about the threat to Tsushima and stuff, and it doesn't quite jive if you've already beaten the game and that how that works. So the story's not super compelling. There is a sort of witch doctor kind of spiritual leader who's kind of, using potions and stuff to kind of, what's the word, hypnotize people into kind of working with her and helping the Mongols and stuff. And so you're trying to defeat her. And what ends up happening is that you see her at the beginning of the game. She presents herself, something happens, and then you don't see her for pretty much the rest of the game until you finish it. So she doesn't appear until the end of the campaign when you're fighting her. But what ends up happening is throughout the game you're playing, and then she sort of comes into your mind or puts doubt in your mind. And so throughout the game, every now and then the screen sort of flickers, and then you get sort of a message from her. And I get what they're trying to do, but it doesn't really impact anything. It doesn't make any drastic changes to the gameplay or the story. It's just kind of an annoying person, almost like a Navi from Legend of Zelda, where it's just kind of someone constantly interrupting while you're trying to play the game. And so I felt it was more of a distraction or an annoyance than it was actually something that helped with the narrative story. And so I kind of wish that the game was a little bit longer because it doesn't flesh out any characters. There's some neat story beats that they could have, explored and dived deeper into, and they didn't, and that's just because there wasn't enough time in the story to kind of flesh out those characters. So the story didn't really capture me. It was more just the experience of just having more Ghost of Tsushima to play that really carried me forward. And I think this boils down to the decision of them not putting this at the end of the game as a continuation of Jin's story. And so where are they going with it? I don't really know, but I think that putting it halfway through the game, the original game, was kind of a poor choice in the way it impacted both players who've played and probably beaten Ghost of Tsushima, as well as those who are coming in, because it is a little bit of a tougher section. And I don't think if you came in, having just beat the first act, that you'd be able to kind of breeze through it. So it almost feels like it is meant to be a late game option, but it's not presented like that. And so I feel like they should have just committed to making this a post game activity. So overall, how I would rate this, I'd say this is a 7.5, maybe an 8, depending on how you're feeling about Ghost of Tsushima. I really liked it. I enjoyed it, but I definitely don't feel like I'm compelled to say go out and get it today and play it. If you want to play more Ghost of Tsushima, it's definitely there and ready to go. You're not going to be disappointed, but I do feel like, you can wait for the director's cut or the upgrade to go on sale. I just feel the upgrade plus paying the $10 that came out to something I think like $40-$50 for me here in Canada. And I don't know if it was quite worth it. I certainly enjoyed it, but I do feel like the price tag with the upgrade was a little bit much. So, Adam, any questions? I know you weren't the huge Ghost of Tsushima fan. I don't think this is going to win you over.
No, no, not unless you're gonna have some, crazy anime bullshit in there. But I don't think Ghost of Tsushima is that game, so I don't think it's
No,
gonna
this
turn
is not that game for
it's not
that.
gonna
So
turn the tide on me that much.
no. So yeah, check it out if you guys are interested. It's certainly definitely something that you should check out at some point. But I would sort of say that price is based, the price you pay is based on how eager you are for more Ghost of Tsushima versus how much your money's worth it to you. So it's that balance. When it gets to that sweet spot for you, go ahead and pull the trigger. But that's where I'm sitting there for my Untimely review of Ghost of Ikishima.